Hello, I am Bobby Cinema. Welcome to my tribute to my father, Sudarsan Cheval. This is a picture of him. You may not know what he looks like, but this is my picture. I'm dedicating this memory to my father, Sudarsan Cheval, Dr. Sudarsan Chavala. He was a great ophthalmologist in the role. Just because he was a local, but he was well respected and also a good man. Also smart. He was also financial. He was also knows how to manage his finances. He was always book smart, and he knows all the ins and outs about what's right and what's wrong. He's also a smart man. My brother got to follow in his footsteps, but I never did. I may not be perfect, but at least he was the smartest man I ever knew. Sometimes I wish I was more like him, but I never had his drive. A lot of times if he could write a book right now, he could make it a bestseller, and he knew the right people to get in, and he can get the door opened. He would have found a way to get. He would know how to get in all the time. Another photo of him. The guy was born in India. He was born in Tarragona, India. He also went to college and medical school in New Delhi, India. And believe me, he had it tough, but you know what? He never gave up or quit. He never grew up poor, but in somewhere in Tarragona, it looked like a poor country. But he did really well. He did really. His family was well off. That's what he told. That's what he told me. But he worked hard for his money. He knew how to manage it. He knew how to take care of himself, and he knew what was right back then. He had a lot of breathing problems for the last couple of weeks. I guess time ran out for him. No matter how many breathing canister oxygen tanks he had, time ran out for him. The guy was born in February 1943, and he was almost 80. Part of me thought he could outlive us all. He probably would have been like Prince Philip of England. He probably would have reached 99 or 100 right now. That's what I always thought. You know how he could outlive all of his family. I barely knew any of my grandparents because they were from India, and I really don't know their names, but I know this guy. He was one of the best I know. He also helped some of my cousins, like Ravi and Raju, come to America and be welcomed. He also made everyone else welcome in this family. And I just wanted to tell you about. I just want to tell you that we have a movie called Bobby. You may not know it now, but maybe someday you will if it ever gets out or it gets distributed. But we are dedicating this movie to Dr. Sudarsan Chavala back then. He will be remembered. A lot of times I don't know how he's going to leave his mark, but mostly for me, there's a lot of people out there. People want to know that he did left his mark. He did left his mark out there in India and even here. He may not be worldwide, but he did left his mark in this town and mostly the state or in India. That's where people remember him. He traveled a lot. He's been in Australia, he's been in Russia, he's been in the UK, he's been in Mexico. Even besides India, he also worked in Ireland. He also was he was also an army doctor. And they gave him an army rank called Major. It was in Leavenworth, Kansas back then. That's all I remembered about him. I saw some of his degrees that he got his medical license in 1979. He has his own eye practice. He made his eye practice in Missouri, and it was a good place. This is a good place to raise a family. Is in Missouri. I'm not gonna give you my town or my address, but I like to. I want people to. I want people to write down your condolences for him, and tell me how you what you think. Go to this is on Facebook right now. Write down your condolences for him, or anything about him. In my first tribute, I did show you the Facebook link in my first one, but here I want to show you what he looked like in person. I'm going to get you another one. Here he was in an Indian restaurant. Did you know the guy's a vegetarian, but he also eats meat and only 2 or 3 days a week? It was kind of like an Indian tradition right now, because mostly for me, he's only allowed to eat 2 or 3. He's allowed to eat meat only 2 or 3 days a week. He retired a couple of years ago, and everyone is going to miss him. He was one of the best men I ever knew. I'm going to miss him myself. He taught me a lot. Half the times I never wanted to listen, but I did listen a lot of times. I did listen a lot of times about him. We got to see a couple of movies together. We got to see Ninja Turtles 2. And we also got to see Top Gun 2. One movie we got to see together was Mission Impossible. Let's see here. Mission Impossible 6. That was that was the other movie. He took care of himself really well. Sometimes you never know when your time's up. Sometimes you can take care of yourself every day. You can be healthy. You can eat healthy. You can work out every day. Heck, you can be 100 pounds. But it doesn't matter how old you are or how much you take care of yourself. Sometimes you'll never know when your time is up. Besides, any guy can be unhealthy. But he was the healthiest guy in the world, and sometimes you never know when your time is up. But he always got through it. He got to see a lot of major events in his time. I guess this is one of his favorite foods. I never knew what it is back then. To help me. It did help me out a lot. Well, I'm not gonna lie about this, but my dad was a Royals fan. He got to see it too. He got to see them play, and he got to see them play. He wasn't there in the 2015 World Series, but he did watch it on TV. He got to see the He got to see the Royals win the World Series. Heck, even if he missed it, he can catch it on YouTube. Just like in the 2020 Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs. He may not be there in person, but he did saw it on TV. Even if he missed it, he probably would have gone and seen it on YouTube like anybody else, like I did. And one thing about having YouTube, at least or iTunes, is that you can skip the boring parts and get to the cool parts, get to the fun parts. That's the thing about iTunes. Sometimes you can, if you miss an episode, it's always back in iTunes or YouTube can always put it back on. Besides, there is always a way. There's always a way. Sometimes one thing about old schools, my father was old school, and sometimes so am I. I'm even born in 1979, but sometimes I kind of do miss the old school ways sometimes. Well, there he is, watching the game. He hasn't eaten much out there, but he did love to see that game. And it's not the World Series, just the ordinary Royals game. And he loved it very much. My father got to see 2022. You know, he got to retire in a couple of years. Sometimes I always kind of think way deep down, I think he kind of got bored after retiring. Mostly for me, any retirement, any guys who retire, there's plenty to do. You know, like a hobby, or there's a thing that every regular guy will do every time they come home. They just sit on the couch, watch some TV, eat, or sleep. That's kind of what every guy does every time they come back from work or when come back to work. Must be a play that he attended. But he must have loved this ballet. It must be a ballet. He must have loved it. Well, that's all the photos I can give you right now. But I will move on to my picture of my father right here. He's right here. He was a he's a guy who never backs down or quits or gave up. If he wanted something, he'll get it, but he'll do it the right way and figure it out. Me, I don't have his drive or his passion. You know, I bet you if he can write a book right now, he can make it a bestseller. But he has always been a smart businessman and also a right guy to do everything right. I can tell you right now that there are guys out there who can do anything. Well, this was also a picture of my parents in the lake and my father. You know, all the times I've known him, I've never seen him wear jeans or casual clothes. All the times I've known him, he always wears a suit and tie a lot of times. Every time I know him. We're all dedicating this to my family. My family wants to remember him, and we're gonna keep honoring him. You know, people said dying is part of life, and it is. It is tough to know how we're gonna get by without him. But I can tell you one thing about each family member or one person when they pass away is that we keep moving and we keep moving. Keep moving and keep going. You want something in life, or to figure out something else to do with your life, or to honor them. We honor them. That's what we're doing in our funeral. We're not just here to pay our respects. We're also here to honor the man. It's just like it's like going to a celebrity funeral. I know a lot of celebrities I know. I bet a lot of people want to go to a celebrity funeral. Not just, I mean, celebrities, but maybe to pay their respects. Even if he was a good person or a bad person, at least we're there to say goodbye to him and also honor him. And besides, even with the good or bad about what happened, remember who he was and what he stands for. For a guy like him, he never acted old or looked old. Yeah, I was to me he always looked like he was like. For me, he always felt like he had a body of a 4-year-old guy. But he never showed it. He never showed old. They got to see the world out there more than anything. They got to see Egypt. They got to see the world like everyone else. You know, I guess there's one place my father had been to, my mom. They seen everything. Mostly, I wasn't much of a traveler because mostly for me, I only pick the places I want to travel, places I want to see. Mostly for me, if I was a billionaire, if I was a billionaire, going to other countries is not for me. There are places I want to see or do, but it isn't seen other countries. It's like if you want to go to Madison Square Garden, always want to go to there. I love New York, and I always love to see a game in Madison Square Garden. And it's on my and tell you the truth, wish I can. But seeing outside Madison Square Garden is all I care about. Even if I wanted to watch a game there or see a game there, I'll do it on my own terms. And if I don't, no matter how much time I have left, being outside of it was really good. My father and I got to see New York together when I was 12 and when I was 17. We walked the streets. We seen the subways. Heck, we seen the Statue of Liberty. Even we seen the Empire State Building. Even we saw Trump Tower. But Donald Trump wasn't there. But at least we got to go inside. We didn't just see it outside. We got to see. We got to go inside and see it. Some of the people who worked there met Donald Trump. Even knew he was a good guy. Knew he was a good guy, but I'm gonna stay neutral. I don't care if you guys like him or not, but I'm gonna stay neutral and stay out of it. I know that, but one thing he never got to do is I think he got to be a celebrity or see one. He at least he got to see Bill Clinton one time. That's when me and my family got to see Bill Clinton once when I was 15. It was in 1995. We saw Bill Clinton, and he spoke in an Indian engagement once that we attended and saw. We heard him speak, and we were only 15 back then. He spoke in an Indian convention, and I was really proud of Bill to come in and speak up for us for one day. I always think about Bill Clinton, about how he's going to leave his mark. I would tell him like I would tell my father. Just honor yourself. We're not here even in a funeral. Even in a funeral, we're not here just to pay our respects or mourn. We're here to honor the man who he is. Honor the man. Take like Richard Nixon. No matter how many faults the guy had. No matter how many faults the man had. But we weren't just here to pay his respects. We were to honor the man. Even though he was a good, even though he was a president who made some bad choices, but he was still a good man and also a smart man. But he found a way to make up for it, and you know what? He found a way to make up for it, and pay, and also earned his redemption. So anyway, anyone can earn redemption. It just takes time, and you know what? Nixon earned it and worked for it. Anyone can make a mistake, like Richard Nixon did. And what would he do? He found a way to earn it and redeem himself. Anyone who also was involved in Watergate, they paid for it. But you know what? They found a way to make up for it. But as I keep going and earn their people's trust. Some people won't remember them, but at least some will find a way to redeem themselves and make the best out of it. Woodward and Bernstein will be remembered as the guys who all exposed the Watergate. But you know what? They didn't. But you know what? Even the guys who were involved in Watergate, they paid the price. But you know what? They found a way to redeem themselves. Maybe a lot of times I think they had to thank Woodward and Bernstein because deep down they felt, man, they felt they fell in the dark. They fell in the darkness for too long. I think they pulled them out and saved them. So either way, there's always a chance for redemption. Redemption. Do you know how to redeem yourself? I'll tell you how. Time. Time redeems itself. And you know, there'll be 1 or 50 people you can redeem to. All you need is one person or 50 people or a lot. They can redeem themselves. But they will remember. But one thing is, they won't remember as our screw-ups. They will remember as the men they stood for and fought for. That's all I have to say right now. This is Bobby Cinema. Goodbye and good luck.